And we are live. Hi, everybody. Hi, my name is Tara Taglienti. Welcome to the fourth day of Energy Transformation Week 2016. I'm really excited about today's guest, and I'm really also excited about this whole week has been so phenomenal. And for those of you who may be tuning in newly on today, day 4, the reason I created Energy Transformation Week is a short interview series of a lot of transformation agents, change agents, energy healers, people out there that are just creating a lot of massive change on the planet right now. These are people that are in my world, who have been inspiring me and on my own personal transformational journey. And I created this to give people some resources and information, and have people sharing their stories of how they've gone from, every day, how they've gone in their lives to their transformation story, and then, actually becoming someone who's out there on the planet making changes in people's lives and businesses. And today's pretty special because I'm bringing on transformation artist George Carroll, and he is not only is he a transformation artist, but he is an author, like 3 or 4 times over now, and an amazing coach, also a business strategist, and he's also a corporate trainer. And he's bringing his gifts and talents into the corporate world, and I cannot wait to hear, George, your take on all of that. And George, I'm going to turn it over to you, and like anything that I have missed, fill in my blanks, because I know you're doing so much out there in the world, and you're just like kicking butt out there. I'm so excited to bring you on.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks. You don't have any blanks, baby.
Aw. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm honored to be here, and it's been such a crazy journey. Life is such a fun game, and when I was growing up, my biggest dream was to play pro football, and I grew up with an environment where the kids around me were 3 and 4 years older than me. So every time we go and play, I had to step up my game to play at their level, and I got a really early lesson about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who are better than you. And as a result of my work ethic and always having to play up to my competition through high school, and got a full ride scholarship into college, and played at the University of Northern Colorado for 5 years. And my vision for my entire life was to be a pro football player. And I was like Rudy Rudiger, undersized all the time. But I worked my tail off, and my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I started. And I was all conference, and in my mind, I could see myself inching closer to becoming the pro football player I had always envisioned myself to be. In my senior year, I was 95 yards short of breaking our school record for yards in a career. And on a harmless run play, I ended up just shattering my leg and ankle, and it shattered my dreams of playing pro football too. And so I fell into a really deep state of depression, no clue who I was, because I think that a lot of times we fall into, for me at least, I was a football player. That's how I identified me with myself. And so I lost my identity. I had no idea who I was anymore. So quickly I moved to Denver, Colorado, and, I was hungry for some sort of success. So I jumped into the corporate world and started selling, internet and phone services to small and mid-sized companies. And within 6 months, I moved into a management position, and I was just really hungry for success. So worked my ass off. And, after about 6 months, I started managing people. And then I got a taste of what it was like to teach and train and develop people. And I fell in love with it. But at the same time, I hated my bosses. I hated having a boss. And so for 2.5 years, I had this inner tug of war of, man, I love training and developing people, but I hate crappy leadership.
Yeah.
And so 2.5 years later, I remember waking up one morning in the fetal position. I just woke up bawling. All this like frustration and anger had built up. And so I woke up bawling, and I started asking some really important questions like, why am I here? What's my purpose on the planet? And I remember a couple weeks later, I found myself in the Denver Public Library, and I was just searching for inspiration for something, but I wandered up to the second floor, and I saw this whole section said personal development. And so I go over there and I start reading the spines of the books, and I see this one book, and it says Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. And I thought, unlimited power, that's something I could use right about now. And so I opened the book, and Tara, you probably had that experience where you start reading a book and it gives you chills.
Yeah.
This was one of those books for me. And so I went on this crazy media fast. I stopped watching television. I stopped listening to music. And in my car, when I was driving, I was just listening to these audio programs of these empowering messages from all these different people like Jack Canfield and Tony Robbins and Abraham Hicks and Wayne Dyer. And after about 90 days, I felt myself come out of this funk that I was in, and got really inspired. So I gave my 2-week notice to the company that I was with at the time. And in those 2 weeks, I wasn't teaching sales techniques or technology, which was what I was supposed to be training on. I was actually teaching what I was learning out of these books, and my reps thought I went a little bit crazy because I got all evangelical on them. And I remember on my last day there, I had 3 of my reps come up to me and they say, "Hey, George, you should be a motivational speaker. You should be a motivational speaker. You should be a motivational speaker." And I don't know what your religious or spiritual beliefs are for those of you who are watching this, but I do believe that the universe communicates to us in a lot of different ways. And in most cases, in many cases, it's through other people if we're willing to listen. And so, man, the 3rd time I heard it, and I created a new vision for my life to become a motivational speaker. And every single day I would go into the theater of my mind, as I learned from Maxwell Maltz in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics. And I would just imagine myself in front of large and small audiences, and I would hear it and feel it, and I would make it so real. And what I learned about the mind is it doesn't know the difference between something that we vividly imagine and something that we actually experience. So over the course of time, just imagining it, my brain began to think that that vision was real. And it started to pull the chunks of data, of information, the pixels into my reality. And as a result of that, I joined Toastmasters. I would read a book, and I would, slowly but surely, 3.5 years after I had the new vision of becoming a motivational speaker, I started a small speaking and training and coaching business. And that was about almost 7 years ago now. And, now I get the gift of traveling around the country and speaking to audiences, as for now, up to 800 people, and small audiences up to, 10 people, and just share some of the things that I've learned along the way. And yeah, I've tapped into the corporate market and I know we'll talk more about this, because people are more open, and they're ready to hear what a lot of us that have been studying consciousness or personal development or spirituality, whatever it is that we call it, people are waking up. And as they wake up, their eyes are becoming more open to the messages that we have, the truths that we've known for a long time. People are more open now than ever.
Yeah. And that's where I'm pretty curious about this journey, especially because I've been watching you out there, and I've been seeing you do more and more stuff in the corporate world. But I actually personally met you at an Access Consciousness, like energy trade or something like that, something related to energy work. And I've also gone to some of your laser transformation nights where you coach people. And let me tell you, George, every time I've gone to one of your events, or every time I see you in action, I know that there's so much magic going on. I got chills as I'm saying this to you, but I can see it. Like I can't tell you what I'm seeing, but I know you do some sort of like magic. You're like a magician when you're on stage with people, and you move people from one state to like this more empowered state. Like it's really quick. And I'm really curious about first and foremost, did you always know that you had capacities and talents and did you always know that about yourself? And then one more thing is, how are you bringing all that? How is it like for you bringing these talents into the corporate world? Can you tell me how that's all bridging together too?
Yeah. I think we all all have a capacity to access the magic inside of us. I believe that we are all brilliant, amazing beings. I believe we're all geniuses. And I love that quote by Albert Einstein. He said something about, if we judged a fish by its ability to climb a tree, we'd all be idiots, or something like that. I think I totally butchered that quote. But it's like when we're born, we look at children, and I think we're in awe of children because they're walking brilliance, they're walking genius. And I think we all have a capacity for magic. And we, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we live in a world that kind of taboos magic. And so I think, fortunately for me, along the way, I started to tap in some really powerful modalities like NLP, neuro linguistic programming. In that 3.5 years when I was envisioning, a greater future for myself, becoming a motivational speaker, I took 6 months off and I took all the savings out of my 401k and I reinvested it back into me. And I got trained in neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy. And then with those two modalities, I started to really tap into the power of the subconscious or the power of the unconscious mind. And eventually got trained and certified with Access Consciousness. And so I think what really helped me tap into, the magic, as you call it, is going through these trainings and really rebuilding that magical muscle that we all have. And so for me, those three modalities have been the most powerful in my life. And as I bring it more into the corporate world, I've been doing corporate training for about 4 years now, really heavily over the last 1.5 years or so. And what I realize about people in the corporate world is that they know, we all know, I think somewhere in us, that life is supposed to be fun. I think we all know that life is supposed to be joyful. And that's something I learned from Abraham Hicks along the way. And I think people are stressed or they're upset because they know somewhere in their universe that things are supposed to be better than they are. And so when somebody like you, for those of you, for Tara, and for those of you who are watching this, just know that the magic that you have, the magic that you bring to the world, what if more people are open to receiving it now than they ever have been? And that's what I'm realizing as I continue to do a lot of corporate trainings. I'm going to Phoenix at the end of January, and I'm doing a training for about 12 leaders or managers, and they've paid me $8,000 to come out just for a day and do some leadership and management training. And I use words like frequency, I use words like energy, I use words like vibration, but the key in the corporate world is how do we organize our message in a way that they can receive it? Because there's certain words and phrases that, people who study consciousness, we just get. But if we bring those words and phrases by themselves into the corporate world, people's defenses are going to come up a little bit. So what I've learned to do is connect this woo-woo stuff, this energy stuff, to cold, hard facts, to logic, because the corporate world tends to be a little bit more logical, a little bit more analytical, a little bit more step by step. So if you can learn to, and this is what I help, my clients do, is organize their message in a way that those corporate clients can hear them. So if you can take your message and then you can tie it to something tangible like statistics or facts or research, then they start to open their mind to, oh, interesting. Like a great example of this is I talk about how our thoughts create our reality. If you take just that phrase alone and say, corporate environment, your thoughts create your reality, they're going to dismiss you. But if you say your thoughts create your reality, and let me share why. There was a study done by Dr. Morimoto who studied water, and he did a study and he wanted to know, do thoughts have an impact on water? And so he did a study where he put these jars of water on one side that has these thought intentions of love and joy and passion and peace. And on the other side, he put these jars of water that said hatred and anger and fury and rage. And he let the water settle in for a couple of days. And then he took Petri dishes and droplets and put them on the Petri dishes, froze the water. And the water on this side froze into these beautiful symmetrical shapes and flakes. And the water on this side contorted and distorted. And then I asked the audience, what percentage of your body is made of water? And they all say 70, 80%. And then I asked them, what are your thoughts made of? And they say electricity, because they're electrical impulses. And then I asked them, what's the most powerful conduit for electricity? And then they go, oh, it's water. And then I asked them, so do you think your thoughts are having an impact on your body? And then so it's really all about tying the woo-woo stuff, the consciousness stuff that we know, to cold, hard facts that they can understand.
Cool. That was going to be like my exact next question. So, okay, listen, you have so many different types of like programs and trainings, and I've even like taken a couple of them, like the become a published author training, and then there's the business school for change agents. I mean, like, there are so many resources that you've created for people to just step into and not only learn some strategies and techniques that they can use, but also you change. I know for myself personally, I've gone through a lot of transformations inside of these programs as well, personally. And so what, like, can you talk a little bit about like the become a published author and some of these programs, because I think they're very valuable for people out there like us, like the change agents.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a coach and as a change agent, I'm always studying the market. And if you're a healer or a transformational artist in any way, which means you work with people one-on-one and in groups to help them create the change that they desire, then you got to study the market. You got to study what's happening in the market in order for you to have the awareness of how to position yourself as an expert. And so, because the market is so crowded right now and it's so loud, and this is a good thing, because when we look at the state of the world and we look at the state of most people are struggling. They're challenged right now and they need our help. And the challenge with a crowded market is that there's so many of us out there, and most people drown in the noise of everyone else because they haven't separated themselves from the crowd by becoming a perceived expert. You become a perceived expert in a couple of ways. In a few ways, actually. The first one is to write a book. And that's why I started to become a published author in 126 days, is because if you have a book and you are a change agent and you work with people one-on-one and you have a book of your curriculum or of your coaching process, and one of your clients is looking to hire a coach like you or a change agent like you, they're going to look at you, the person who has the book, and then maybe some other people who don't, and immediately they're going to perceive in their mind that you're the authority on your topic. And so that's one really powerful way to become an expert and separate yourself from the crowd. And, I love this, my Become a Published Author in 126 Days program, because it allows people to plug into a global mastermind group. And we have a call pretty much every week on the important topics. Most people don't write a book because they don't know where to start. And if they do start, they don't have accountability in place to keep going. And so I've developed a program, a container, if you will, that plugs people into a mastermind, has 3 levels of accountability, and also has all the information along the way that you need in order to get the book published. Now, most people don't publish in 126 days. There's actually only been 2 people to get published in 126 days. There have been a large handful of people who have published beyond that. The primary intention of the program is to create an unstoppable momentum with the creation process of your book. And the second intention is to become published in 126 days. But the core intention is create momentum, because when you have momentum, it becomes harder to stop. And so the second way to really position yourself as an expert is get on TV. So when I'm looking at things, I'm always looking at the concept of modeling that I learned in NLP. Basically, modeling is the art of finding people who are achieving the results that you desire and studying them and implementing some of the same strategies that they've implemented to create the same results. So when I first started my business, I wanted to create a $100,000 business. So I began studying $100,000 entrepreneurs. I hired a coach who was doing about $500,000, and she helped me in a short period of time, take my business to over 100K. And so for the last 4 years, I've been doing 100K plus. And now, over the last 2 or 3 years, I said, okay, my new target is to create $1 million business. So I've studied $1 million businesses. And so we can learn from people. There's a great quote, I think, by Edison. He says, if I've seen more, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants. I think a lot of people try to recreate the wheel over and over again. But if we just, I spent 24 grand on a woman who's an amazing entrepreneur and change agent. And I learned so much about business just by being part of her mastermind. And recently I joined James Malinchak's mastermind. His brand is Big Money Speaker, because I wanted to blow up my speaking business. And he's a $1 million entrepreneur. And as a result of working with him, my business has really expanded. And so I'm always looking at who's achieving the results I want to achieve and how can I plug into them. So with my clients, the ones who are aspiring speakers or aspiring authors, when we work together, we simply look at, okay, what are the strategies you need to put in place based on where you are to get to where you want to go? And then the third way is to become a speaker. If you're an author and if you get on TV and if you become a speaker, you pretty much communicate to your target audience that you are an authority on your topic. And those 3 things, if you do them, it takes time and it takes work. But if you do them, you position yourself for a very lucrative career.
That's awesome, George. This is great, great information for everybody out there. Now, listen, is there anything new and exciting coming up for 2016? Do you have anything that you can share, or is it anything top secret?
Well, one thing that, I mean, I study masters. That's like I think my secret. It's not a secret, but I study masters. I study people who are crushing it. And another person that I study is Brendan Bouchard. And he told me a metaphor at one of his events one time. And he talks about how most entrepreneurs, they're running around looking for gold. So they dig a hole and they dig it halfway and they say, okay, well, it's not here. Then they go dig another hole. And they dig a hole and they say, well, the gold's not here either. Then they dig another hole and then they, dig another hole and dig another hole, and a few years down the line, they look back and they see that their career is full of half dug holes. And he said, and then the shift came that he said, if you really want to make it in your business, he's like, you have to look back at all the half holes that you dug, find the ones that were most joyful for you to dig and the ones that you're most brilliant at, and go back and dig until you find the holes. And so for a long time in my business, I was, coming up with this program and 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 this program, but I was spreading myself so thin. So what I've done now is I said, what are the few programs that I absolutely fucking love, that I love serving my clients with, and how can I go deep and really master those business models to take my business to $500,000, which is what my target is this year. And so Business School for Change Agents, that launches this year on March 3rd, and Become a Published Author in 126 Days launches April 22nd. And so those are the only two programs, online programs, that I launch. And my two live programs that I have are The Greatest Year of Your Life. We just got done with a 3-day event. I'm in Denver right now.
Yeah.
But it rocked the fucking house, man. It's 3 days of like envisioning, transforming, and creating action strategies to hit your targets. And then the second live event that I have is for coaches. It's specifically an NLP training. So I'm a certified master NLP practitioner as well. And I do a 2-day event called NLP for Change Agents. And it allows change agents to just add these NLP tools to their, to their mix of transformational tools. And it enhances their ability to create change. So, and then I've got my whole, speaking and training model that I work with clients with in case they want to step into being a speaker or a trainer too. So, just being more focused is the key for me in 2016, and not spreading myself by trying this program and doing this program and this program. I'm like, boom, here I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just, I want to give you a heads up. We're about to go over, in about a minute. We'll be at half an hour mark. Cool. So, now, okay, so before we get into, there's always one question that I ask every person that comes on here. But first, I just want to ask, how can people get in touch with you? Like, what are your website links and how can they find you? I know you're really like personable with people. So whatever contacts you want to give, drop them, and I'll put some links underneath this video, okay?
Yeah, so if people go to growwithgeorge.com, it'll forward to my primary website, which is has all my programs and all my information and all of that stuff. So growwithgeorge.com. And then you can find me on Facebook too at George Carroll.
Oh, cool. That was quick. All right, so here's the question that I ask every single person that comes on to Energy Transformation Week. And right now, George, here's the thing. If the guy that, just found out that he wasn't going to be able to make it as a pro football player, that guy out there was surfing around on the internet and stumbled upon this video, right? And what advice or what kind of information, what would you say to him or someone in that place, being the being and the being that you are now?
I would say whatever you're doing, play full out doing it. I think most people distract themselves by saying, okay, I'm doing this now. I know this isn't my purpose. So they dabble and they go half-ass with it. But the thing that opens up more possibilities is like fully committed to doing whatever it is that you're choosing to do and allowing that to open the doors to greater possibilities. So play full the fuck out in your life with whatever you're doing.
Cool. Awesome. And if there's anything that you want to say to the viewers out there, as right before, as closing statements, like, you're welcome to just say something for our viewers if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about helping people
Yeah.
take their message into the corporate world. In 2014, organizations spent $39.3 billion on outside consultants and speakers and change agents like us, like 39.3 billion. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a very lucrative industry. And I think one of the challenges that many change agents have is, how do I make money with my message? Well, I mean, there's so much money in the corporate world. And if you can learn to create and organize your message and position it in a way that they can receive it, people are willing to pay you a lot of money. So if you're struggling with making money with your message and you want to tap into more of the corporate environment, go do it. Because here's the thing, like, there's a lot of superior assholes out there that think that my modality is the best, and I have the greatest modality and all other modalities suck. And that pisses me off, because if you're a change agent or a healer, it's like, I don't care where you are, we're all doing God's work. We're all
Yeah.
doing healing work, regardless of wherever we are. And people in the corporate world need change and transformation just as much as people who are already in the consciousness world or people who are already in the personal development world. So the world needs healing. There's a lot of people out there that need transformation and expansion. And for you, I would look at, where are my greatest opportunities? And if you believe that maybe that opportunity might be in the corporate world, let's chat.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, George, for being here and taking some time out of your massively busy schedule to talk with me and be part of this Energy Transformation Week 2016. And I just want to tell everybody that has tuned in and is watching this or is watching this in the future, thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned, because tomorrow we're going to be speaking with Dr. Lisa Cooney around at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, and that's going to be a really amazing interview. So you won't want to miss that. And for myself, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for being here and tuning in. This is Tara Taglienti, and signing off. Bye.